Hello and welcome to SweetSpotDFS. This is a review for the 2020 Arnold Palmer Invitational presented by MasterCard, where Tyrrell Hatton is your winner. I personally like Tyrrell Hatton. He's one of my favorite golfers. Some people find him annoying, his antics on the golf course, but I think he's a fantastic player. So I'm glad he won. I was on him quite a bit this week, just couldn't put the lineup together. I'm going to go ahead and throw up the player pool criteria, and we'll go over this shortly. Before we get into the video, though, I do want to remind you, like I do in most videos, that if you want to watch this at a faster speed, you have the ability to. If you're on desktop, go ahead, drag your mouse over my face, anywhere on the screen. You're going to see a gear icon right down here. Drill down on that, find playback speed, and choose what speed you're comfortable listening at. You can do 2 times. It's doable. I prefer 1.5. It's just smoother that way. Top right hand corner, you're going to see, if you're on mobile, top right hand corner, 3 dots that make a vertical line. Go ahead, drill down that. You're going to find playback speed there as well. And if you want to help me out and you don't want to listen to all of it, go ahead, put it on mute and play it at 2 times speed. Sorry. That way you'll get through this faster and I'll get credit, But each to their own, right? So I don't care what you guys choose to do. It's just there. I didn't do so great this week when it comes to this, when it came to creating lineups. I was stuck on a strategy that obviously didn't work out. On the screen is my player pool criteria, and had I stuck to this and just took it for what it was, I would have done all right, because it did apply, and we'll see that soon. But yeah, my player pool criteria I was looking at were golfers that had good shots gained tee to green plus good shots gained approach, Bermuda average good, recent form decent, last year 1. We want 1 to 5 of those, 1 to 4 last year 2s. And I mean, it did pretty well when we look at it, when we get to the DK page. I'm going to go ahead and bring up the spreadsheet right now, and we always go through the recent form tab first, because it has the optimal lineup, and it also has the $5 GPP winning lineup. Really, it has the lineup, the winning lineup of the highest entry fee GPP that I enter. So in this case, it was the $5. I entered it once. Again, didn't do well. I rostered a lot of Henrik Stenson and a lot of Rafa Cabrera-Bello, and they both missed the cut, so it was not good. Anyways, going through this, on the $5 GPP winning lineup, that lineup, the winning lineup was Tyrrell Hatton, Mark Leishman, Joel Damon, Danny Lee, Rory McIlroy, Scotty Scheffler, and that was a hell of a lineup. Super good. I can't remember what stat it was, but when I looked at it, I saw the name and I couldn't play him, and that was Danny Lee. I think it was probably Bermuda. I could be wrong on that, but I don't trust Danny Lee. He once said in an interview, he's like, my caddy just hands me a club and tells me where to hit it, and I just hit it there. That doesn't seem like a decent golfer to trust, but he has had success. He's a very streaky golfer, and he did pretty well at this golf course. So, kudos to him. He got it going for this tournament. Yeah, I couldn't trust playing Danny Lee. The other golfers, pretty self-explanatory. I mean, I was all in on Rory, so it's good to see Rory was in the winning lineup, but it was not the optimal lineup. The optimal lineup was Tyrrell Hatton, Mark Leishman, Sungjae Im, Danny Lee, Keith Mitchell. That's one too many up there. Which one isn't? Oh, it's not Danny Lee. I'm sorry. Danny Lee is not the optimal lineup. It's Tyrrell Hatton, Mark Leishman, Sungjae Im, Keith Mitchell, Colin Morikawa, and Scotty Scheffler. So the $5 GPP winning lineup scored 464 points. The optimal lineup scored 479, so it edged out the winning lineup by 15 points. And you really could have mixed and matched any of these. Like, the scores are so close to each other. It was such a hard tournament that there weren't a lot of birdies to be made. So the scoring is pretty well. There are 3 golfers right here in this pack that kind of stand out as not being good plays, but the rest of them hover around that 71 to 79 range. And that's just because there weren't a lot of birdies. There was a lot of pars and then some bogeys. It was just a mix and match. So really, you could have created some other lineups. I mean, I was really heavy on Rory. So if I were to start with Rory and go Tyrrell Hatton and Mark Leishman, start those guys out. So actually, let's do this. Make sure we know the salary first. And then one of my other favorite plays was another 1-1. Sung Kang, he scored 71.5 points. Scotty Scheffler was another one of my plays. So now we're at 43,000. So I need to find someone 7,000 or less that I was interested in. I did play a lot of Charlie Hoffman, believe it or not. But let's go ahead and pick someone up here. And I guess really, let's just go with Keith Mitchell. So those three golfers, what would they have scored? So Keith Mitchell, Rory, and then these three. Nope. These two. That would have scored 473.5. That still would have taken down first place. That would have been my lineup. I had a lot of Scheffler. I played some Sung Kang because he was a last year one, last week one. I also played some Rory McIlroy. I didn't play a lot of Keith Mitchell. I did play some Mark Leishman, probably not enough, obviously, and I did play a lot of Tyrrell Hatton. I didn't have the mix of the correct golfers to win decent money. So I like that lineup. That's probably a lineup I would have went with. Again, I really like Scotty Scheffler going into this tournament. But yeah, that's all I'm going to spend on recent form. You can also look at the recent form. You know, there's one golfer that had 60 or worse. Everyone else had decent recent form. And again, if I were to show what we were looking at, player pool, we want recent form decent. As you can see, number 3 on the list. So that held up. That worked. Let's go ahead and look at the 2020 DK page. So I do have it filtered by results. And actually, I'm going to put a filter on. It's not filtered. It was sorted by result. But I'll go ahead and put the filter on. One thing I want you guys to notice right away is this column here has all of your, these are what's in order tee to green in the field. So how it would read was Rory McIlroy was the #1 golfer tee to green in the field. And then 8 was Bryson, 11 was Mark Leishman, 23 was Sung Jae Im. Tyrrell Hatton didn't have enough stats. As we scroll over here, we're going to see, you know, this is all blank. He didn't register enough PGA starts to actually have stats. So unfortunately, we couldn't tell. I put this 100 because I believe it's the Bermuda. Nope, that would not be correct. Was it course history? There was a reason why I played him and put a 100. Unfortunately, I cannot remember. Anyways, it could just be the bucket. I don't remember. I think 97 is the no, that wouldn't be right either. Well, that stinks. I'm kind of blanking at to what these numbers were. I think 99 is good Bermuda stats. Don't know what 97 is. I don't care. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on it. But either way, so if I were to actually take these columns or take these numbers out, so it doesn't confuse you guys, as you can see, we had quite a bit of golfers that actually had stats. And I was really on Tyrrell Hatton, regardless of him not having enough stats, because I know he's a good golfer. He has played well here, or he's played well here before. I liked his bucket combination. His price point was easy. He was also golfing in the morning. Like, there was a lot of reasons to like Tyrrell Hatton at this golf course. Did he play the week before? No, he did not. So anyways, I like Tyrrell Hatton, so I gave him a pass on the tee to green. But everyone else, I basically thought to myself, if anyone was under 34, as it was last year for tee to green in the field, that they had a good chance to do well. And you could have rostered most of these guys. So here, I want to do something really quick. I don't think this will take any time, and I just want to see what the perfect. So everyone matches up. All right. Just wanted to get that color coding on there so you guys can see what the optimal lineup was and what the $5 GPP winning lineup was. So like Keith Mitchell, I didn't want to play him because he didn't have, good enough stats. Let's see, what was his tee to green? Yeah, minus 0.97, not good. Off the tee, good. Approach, not good. And then, okay, we'll go through stats. I'm not going to spend it on just Keith Mitchell. But anyways, yeah, I was looking at, and I numbered it all the way down to 50, if you guys can remember, because Tommy Fleetwood was like 48 or 49. Maybe it was 50. I can't remember. I filtered out all of the missed cuts. But I did number down there. But when I was looking at last year's stats, I just saw 34 and better. You had a good chance of finding a lot of golfers that And again, that's 34th in the field for shots gained tee to green or better. And it's strokes gained, not shots gained. Strokes gained tee to green. But yeah, so could we have made a lineup looking at this? Well, of course we wanted, you could have done Tyrrell Hatton, Mark Leishman, and then find a last year one that you liked. I liked Rory, so I probably would have played Rory. And like I could come down here and play Scotty Scheffler. Again, Keith Mitchell was a part of that optimal lineup. But if we were making I forget which one we ended up going with. I think you had to go with Keith Mitchell, right? And then Sung Kang. So Sung Kang was 47th. Yeah, this was 49,600. So this would have been doable. Again, I went to 50 just because, Tommy Fleetwood had a chance. I just wanted to include 50. But either way, Sung Kang finished 9th. Definitely would have helped you win a GPP. So yeah, with that, only Keith Mitchell's the only one that didn't have good enough shots gained tee to green. He did fall under that last year bucket 1, which of course we probably should have thought about. And that's the one thing I did when I created my lineups. And I'll go over that at the end of the video. What I did wrong and what I'm gonna fix going forward. But yeah, tee to green, very huge. Let's go ahead and I want to make sure I have all of them selected now, because we're going to go through the stats. I guess I want to actually first talk about tee time pairings, because whether it was in the morning or the afternoon was kind of an important factor. We all thought that the winds in Thursday afternoon were going to be so heavy that it was going to affect the golfers in the afternoon wave. Plus, it was going to be cold Friday morning. So again, that's not a good thing for most golfers. It's just so much easier playing in warmth than it is in cold weather. So it just looked so much more advantageous to play a golfer that started Thursday morning and then ended Friday evening. The only thing though is every day this course got harder, and the longer it went on throughout the day, or the later it went on through the day, the harder it got, because the greens got more firm, they got faster, the wind really dried them out. This course played really tough. So as you can see, I mean, if you take these PM guys right here, you'll see the rest of them are AM golfers. So I'll go ahead and highlight all the AM golfers that you can see. As you can see, it dominates the top 20. This is the top 20 you see on the spreadsheet. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 PM waves. The rest of them are AM waves. So it still was relevant, but you couldn't have played all 3 of these guys together with Tyrrell Hatton. It would have just costed too much. But you did want 2 of them. You wanted 2 of these afternoon golfers. And Keith Mitchell was in the afternoon. He was part of the optimal lineup, so you would have wanted to play him as well. But if you were to make just a lineup of morning guys, we could have went this route. I think we kind of already went down this way. But like I go with Sung Kang. And then we want some other cheap guys. I mean, I like Charlie Hoffman, so I'll play him. And then Scotty Scheffler, he was in the afternoon. Of course, I liked him. But if we went all morning, this is $100 over. I mean, yeah, Danny Lee would have been ridiculous. That'd get 48,100. That wouldn't have, I don't think anyone would have done something like that. Yeah, I mean, I would just go with like Scotty Scheffler. So that was 49,300. So that left 700 on the table. Yeah. We go with Mark Leishman. Too much still? Yeah, of course it is. Either way, so you could have gotten a good nucleus there of morning golfers that still would have done well. So anyways, let's go ahead and hide that. Let's pause the video, screenshot all of this because we're not going over it anymore. Go ahead and hide that. Course history, wanted, decent course history. We see one with a miscut, one with the 64. That was Morikawa's first time. Gosh, it must have been a couple years ago. I don't remember when Morikawa played last. I guess I'll go look it up. That's fine. '64 in 2018. So obviously he was an amateur. Yeah, didn't have a lot of PGA experience or success at that time. Recent form, of course, we already looked at that. So let me go ahead and hide all of this information. And we can go right into the Bermuda, the grass stats, basically. As you can see, it was pretty good Bermuda stats. If we go ahead, and I'm going to do this throughout the rest of the stats here. So we'll go through the grass stats and the swing stats. We'll sort. Actually, I'm going to take the out golfers. That was kind of disappointing to see Francesco withdraw before the tournament. So Bermuda, top to bottom. Fleetwood missed the cut. McIlroy was your second guy. He got 5th. And then Jason Day withdrew. Henrik missed the cut. Matthew Wolff didn't, in my opinion, did not apply. He only had 4 events under his belt. But then you look at Colin Morikawa, only had 4 events under his belt. He got a 9th place. So he got a top 10. So this 25% will now be bumped up. Yeah, 4 events. So what is 2 out of 5? So that'll go to 40%. That's going to be really good. Adam Scott, Justin Rose. I mean, there were golfers that didn't really come in with good recent form, so it was difficult. Well, Adam Scott did, but the last tournament he was at, the WGC, I think, didn't play that well. Because he won the Genesis, and then the next week went to, or was it the Honda that he played? It doesn't matter. I'm not gonna look into it. But yeah, you can see it's kind of a mix and match. You got a lot of golfers here in the top 10, and then obviously a few people in the top 20. Basically, you have an even number of miscuts, withdraws to match your top 20s. So, I mean, Bermuda mattered, in my opinion. If we went by the top 10 percentage, there's many more miscuts. So that wasn't really helpful, looks like. 2020 Bermuda. Yeah, still not helpful. There's still just as many miscuts as there are top 20s. So I would say overall Bermuda, I like this. I know it's very similar in number of miscuts and withdraws as this top 20, but I just think overall you definitely wanted to go with some Bermuda. And I can't remember what my number was. I think it was like 47. I didn't want to go over 47, but obviously Tyrrell Hatton at 57 won the tournament. And most of these guys, yeah, most of them are over. The majority of them are over. So I'll have to relook at that next year. But it definitely will think about Bermuda still. Like I don't know why you wouldn't. Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead, hide this information. Now we'll get on to the swing stats and just go over this pretty quickly. So again, so now it's kind of, at least the guys who didn't have stats, it's sorted by their result. 2 golfers. I want to show you this from 2019. We can go ahead and hide this information just like in the other spreadsheet. Go tee to green, top to bottom. 2 golfers, top 20. Obviously, they're European golfers. So if we go to the 2020 DK, again, 2 golfers, top 20. I probably would have thought it would have been Matt Wallace over Christian Bezuidenhout. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have played him regardless. It's not like I would have been hurt by not playing him. Just like having Henrik last year wouldn't have really helped you, but it wouldn't have hurt either. Yeah, it's really interesting to see that these things kind of match up with last year. And I don't think that's a coincidence, honestly. I don't. That's why I like Tyrrell Hatton. I like Tyrrell Hatton. I like Henrik Stenson. Both of those golfers, my favorite golfers. And I sprinkled in some Rose and Westwood and Brooks also. Brooks did not pay dividends, so I didn't play a lot of him. But here we go. Tee to green. This is top to bottom. There's quite a bit of miscuts. But you got a 5th, 9th, 4th, 5, 2, 9. A bunch of miscuts. I didn't like Finau. I said it in the preview video. I said it in the line of construction video. Wasn't one of my favorite golfers. Couldn't get on Tommy because I was so in on Rory. And I didn't play any. I played one lineup, I think, of Jason Day for the fear of missing out. That's it. I didn't like Jason Day either. I just didn't like the recent form those guys were coming in with. Except for Fleetwood. I did like Fleetwood. But again, I could not... For as much as I wanted to roster Rory, I was committed. I was convinced Rory was going to win. I just didn't play him because I didn't trust him, really. But yeah, I mean, even Adam Scott, these guys down here, You just had to choose the right golfers, obviously. I wouldn't say, you know, find 6 golfers in the top 20. I said find 6 golfers in the top 30. I think it was like 34. So that's your top 34. You could easily find 6 golfers that were going to make the cut, and that would have given you a pretty decent lineup to make some money. Yeah, so this is 53. If I went ahead and counted so is this everybody? Or did I take out the miscuts again? I took the out golfer, okay. So again, I counted down to 50, and where in the heck is Tommy Fleetwood? Does he not have enough stats? Is that the reason why? No. He would have stats. What am I thinking of? Really weird. Like, where the heck did he go? I thought he was like somewhere up here. Right, he's dark green. Where are you, Tommy Fleetwood? He's up here. Oh, he's 5. What was I thinking? Maybe it was that was last week? That might be last week's. My bad. Sorry to waste your time. Either way, tee to green still worked out in our favor. Let's go look at off the tee, and I'm just going to go through this pretty fast. Off the tee was pretty good if you look at that. Yeah. Approach, this is what everyone else was on. Sure, you have your top 3 golfers that finished inside the top 10. That could have got you on someone like Mark Leishman, but you also could have gotten screwed over by picking any of these golfers. Even Tom Hoagie, that one really worked out. But Sung Jae was up there. So really, you had Sung Jae, Colin Morikawa. You had 4 golfers that you could have chosen from approach. I don't really... Again, I think it's approach plus shots gained tee to green or strokes gained tee to green. I think those were the ones that you really wanted to look at. But approach by itself, I don't think has as much weight as tee to green does. It's your top 43. I mean, it's decent. It's not like I'm not gonna, you know, talk it down that much. But I think tee to green is way more important. I'm just gonna go through these other ones again. Pause. We don't have to talk about them. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. You're just not gonna see a lot of golfers at the top of the leaderboard. At least I don't think you're going to. Go ahead and hide this. This, and this. Okay. So, proximity. Not a bad number for golfers inside the top 20 for proximity. I think you have one more than missed cuts. Birdie or better percentage. Wow. Birdie or better on how hard that golf course was. This is pretty impressive. I mean, I liked Scotty Scheffler. I wasn't afraid of Patrick Reed. He fits everything we wanted in a golfer, basically. He was 28th tee to green. His bucket combination was 50% inside the top 10. Like, it was good. Yeah, that's really interesting. I did look at birdie or better a little bit, but not nearly as much as maybe I should have. Driving distance. You have nearly the same amount of golfers inside the top 20 as you do missed cuts. Driving accuracy. No, driving accuracy does not look to be a big one. And that, again, this is coming into the tournament. This isn't at the tournament. So this is coming into the tournament. What were their stats? How about good drive percentage? That also was not a telling stat. So that's really interesting. I'm glad to go through that and take a look. So the last little bit that I want to talk about, and I totally forgot to pull it up, so don't mind me. I'm going to get into my lineup construction spreadsheet. We'll go over my lineups for the 2020 API. I'll apply filter 2. Okay, and zoom in. So what I want you guys to look at is I started all of my first column of golfers with a last year one. You can tell that it's designated by this dark green color. Light green would be a last year 2. I guess if I were to go back to that spreadsheet and show you what those colors are, I don't know if I've ever said this like in the video, but you can see what the color combination is here, and you can look over at the ranks that go with it. So obviously our last year bucket 2 is light green, last year bucket 1 is dark green, yellow is 3rd, orange is 4th, light red is 5th, and dark red is 6th. So I basically started as many lineups as I could, and this is the thing that I made a huge mistake on. If we went back to the notes page, looked at the bucket combinations as I do, and I go through this with you guys during the lineup construction video, I just looked at all these last year ones and like how many times it's happened in like multiple times in a year, and I kind of got drawn to that. So like in 2015 and 2019, the last year one, last week one, and 2018, I guess. So 3 years, there's only been one instance for a last year one, last week one to finish inside the top 10. If you looked at 2017, 2016, and 2014, so if you include all those years, you could say in 3 of those years, at least 2 found the top 10. And then 2 of those years, 3 found the top 10. So I kind of did that in my head as kind of a percentage when I created lineups. And so you'll see like how many 3s, you know, it goes across, and then it turns into 2s. And then like these are all last year one, last week one. Bubba was the last year one, last week one. And here, let me go through that in the DK page also. So we can go ahead, sort by, yeah. So we'll sort by buckets. As you can tell, there were 6 golfers in that last year one, last week one bucket. I didn't pay any attention to Charles Howell. I barely paid any attention to Matthew Fitzpatrick because he did not have the shots gained TD green stats. Same with Jason Kokrak. I just said, nope, not gonna, I just didn't care. But you can see the last year one, last week one, you got a lot of people inside the top 20. It's still a very telling bucket combination. But really, I mean, I took a stance. I thought Rafa, I thought Henrik Stenson were the best last year one, last week one. But what I should have done is more or less look at, you know, just the matrix, the table here. How often does a last year one finish inside the top 10? How often does the last year 2 finish inside the top 10? And that's where we get those buckets on the player pool criteria. Is I want 1 to 4 last year 2s, 1 to 5 last year 1s. That doesn't mean last year 1, last week 1. That just means 1s in general. So when we go to the DK page and sort by, you know, by result. Oh yeah, that's right. Tyrrell Hatton got taken out because this is taken out. So if we went with that, Sung JM would have been up there. He was a 1-2, but he's a last year 1. We want to find 1 to 5 last year 1s. So we could have played Sung J up with, say, Sung Kang, and he could have been our last year 1, last week 1. And just left it at that. Then find ourselves a 2-1 or a last year 2. I mean, there was 1, and that was Colin Morikawa. I liked Colin Morikawa. His price point didn't allow me to make a lot of lineups when I started Rory and then Henrik, or even like Rory and Rafa. So, I mean, I did play some Colin Morikawa and Rory, but then I didn't have Tyrrell Hatton with it. So what I really should have done, and this is what I'm going to do going forward. Sure, last year 1, last week 1 showed a lot of promise. You know, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 golfers that obviously finished inside the top 20 that were last year 1, last week 1. But when I go to create lineups, what I'm going to do now is instead of going last year 1, like finding the bucket combinations, let's start out with what we know for sure. And that is finding just the last year bucket and finding a golfer in that bucket. So just the last year 1s, not a combination of last year and last week, but just the last year. And create lineups just having, boom, these are all 1s, last year 1s, these are all last year 2s, and these are all last year 3s. Again, if I shouldn't say again, but if I were to go back to the notes page, you're also going to see at least 1 last year 3 in every single Arnold Palmer dating back to 2013. There's been a last year 3 inside the top 10. If I scroll up here, we can almost see that it almost happens every single year as well in the top 5. You know, It's same with last year 2 and same with last year 1. Again, 2019, that was a 6th place finish. So that was pretty darn close. I should have started my lineups that way. You get your last year 1, your last year 2, and your last year 3. So I was kicking myself after creating the lineups. I'm like, ah, man, I should have done it. I should have done it that way. And then fill out these 3 with whatever I could fit. If I could put another last year 1, last week 1, sure, go ahead and do it. Otherwise, finish it with, other last year 1s, other last year 2s. Because as we scroll through here, like, you can see how I mixed some of these guys, Rory and Ricky. That only happened once. Rory and Xander, that probably only happened once. Rory and Bryson, Rory and Brooks, that probably only happened once. And then Day and Matsuyama, Adam Scott. You see none of them actually started with Rory and then, say, Colin Morikawa or Tyrrell Hatton. But, I mean, you can see I played Tyrrell Hatton in a bunch of lineups. Like, I was very much in on Tyrrell Hatton. But roster construction didn't really allow me to do. Like, Rory, Sung Jae, Tyrrell. Pretty darn good lineup. And I even have a Sung Kang in there. But, of course, you add him with Tway and Schwartzel. Doesn't really help out. I mean, I really liked Lanto Griffin. He kind of fell apart at the end. But he still made the cut. Still could have got me points. But yeah, going forward, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go with buckets. And then whatever combination that I like. Obviously, I really liked Rory this week. I am not regretful on that whatsoever. But I think going forward, I should just look at the buckets. Let's go ahead, go back here. Look at just all the last year 1s and determine who do we like. I mean, if I were to go here and then sort by this, how bad would that have been? Henrik, oh, he didn't count. But Rafa was outside that 34 mark. So was Brendan Steele, technically. But yeah, these guys, I liked them all. I played a lot of Bubba, but I probably shouldn't have, because it's Bubba Watson, and he is in the afternoon. I guess we could have went by like morning tea time and just went by that. And Rory, obviously, the only one that I wanted, well, when it came to this tee to green stuff. Man, so did these guys actually have stats? Yeah, I think all 3 of them did. So Stenson didn't, but these 3 guys did have stats. They didn't have good enough tee to green. Were their approach stats good? Not really. I mean, above 0, sure, but they were bottom of the pack in the field. And then approach, not for, who was this? Was this Keith Mitchell? Yeah, not good there. Really, you could take flyers on this top 10 percentage, I think, or even course history. That's not bad. But the fact is, they were all last year 1s. That's what I want you guys to take account of. Last year 1 just means they finished inside the top 20 the year before. Sure, we have nearly as many missed cuts as we do have top 20s. So what is that? That is a count of 7. 3, 4, 5, 6. So we only have 6 top 20s. We have 7 missed cuts, but 6 out of 20. It's a pretty good ratio of finding last year 1s inside the top 20. If I were to go ahead, take that out and put 2s down. And again, this is sorted by tee to green. You still have a bunch that, I mean, he didn't have enough stats, I don't think. Yeah, he was the only one. Him and Westwood, but Westwood obviously missed the cut. But when we scrolled over, that's what I saw. Yeah, how about Gooch, Brendan Todd, and Dylan Fratelli? How were they? Okay, so Dylan Fratelli. So you see these highlighted over here. Those are the golfers I chose. Approach, not bad. That would be your, your 40 to 60 range of golfers in the field. These, awful. So approach for those guys didn't really play a factor. Neither did course history, really. I mean, I guess 26 here, but 85 and nothing. Bermuda stats, not really a telltale sign. What else can we see from these guys? Anything? I mean, not really. Birdie or better, nothing. Proximity, not, these are all just middle of the pack golfers for these stats. There's nothing that's really like jumping off the board. So either way, again, I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time doing that. Okay, video's at 34 minutes. I'm just going to go ahead and go to the 3s. I'm not going to really talk about it. We'll scroll through it. You guys can screenshot it, whatever. You can see what it looks like here. Bunch of 4s. Yeah, tee to green. I mean, can't really. We're finding more golfers that didn't follow that tee to green bucket when we go through all this. 5s, you know, 2 golfers, and really no one. Bryson wasn't even in the optimal lineup or the winning GPP lineup. So Harris English, really the only 6 that had good tee to green stats. So yeah. All right, that's it. I'm not gonna speak any more about it. I think that was good enough, and I'm gonna end the video there. So thank you guys for watching. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you for a players preview tomorrow. All right, bye.